Welcome back. Sports Extraordinary Weekend Edition here on Atlantic Television Network, and an exciting weekend where our focus is on the Niger Delta Games that enters into its second edition. With me on the show this weekend is Mike. Nice to have you, Mike.
Thanks for having me on this weekend edition of Sport Extra. Glad to be here.
Across, we should be having a sports journalist based in Uyo Basi to join us discuss some of this trending topic this weekend. But before we get to have him join us, Mike is here. Mike, let's first start on the local scene here, where it is an interesting weekend because Lagos City Marathon is expected to kick off in Lagos State, with athletes running across major routes in the state. Marathon, not a very popular sport here, but it's been consistent in the last couple of years, and with what looks like an attractive package, prizes for the runners, is now beginning to attract both local and international marathoners. First, let's look at the festivity, the color which Lagos State will have this weekend, courtesy of this marathon race.
I think it's been a glorious, color there, and a very colorful celebration. The city of Lagos is agog, and Lagosians are buzzing because of the excitement of the 11th edition of the Lagos City Marathon. The anticipation was on, and the high excitement in the air as it got underway. And I just believe that it's going to leave the test of time, because the last edition was one that people talked about for good, how they were able to put up such a top-notch organization where other top elite athletes and marathoners from different parts of the world came and took part in. But then one interesting thing about this year's edition is that the Nigerian athletes and marathoners have also made a vow to actually give the Kenyans a run for their money this time around, because you and I know that it's been, the domination of the Kenyans in the most of the edition when you talk about the longer distance race here. But like I said, I think the difference in this 11th edition is the promise from the side of Nigerian marathoners to live up to the expectation as to, bring home or win the coveted prize money, which is about $50,000. We're talking about the sum of 160-something million naira, which is huge, which for me, I think is a great one. But then, in all of this, I think it's been an exciting one, taking a look at how Lagosians are very happy, and the city is bubbling, foreigners are coming in, business activity flowing as well. So I think it's been a very colorful activity so far.
$50,000 at stake for both the foreign and local marathoners expected to converge in Lagos this weekend for the Lagos City Marathon. No doubt, the long distance races belong to the East Africans, especially the Kenyans, but then Nigerians, Ugandans are beginning to step up, and we'll see who gets to the podium in the first, second, and the third place. But it promises to be very, very thrilling this weekend in Lagos. If you're around the city of Lagos, I'm very sure you'll see the excitement this is bringing to the residents there. And one man that would be among the high-profile figures expected at the occasion is former Super Eagles player Sheyi Olofinjona. Mike, this is one player, a former athlete who can as well bring call a footballer, but yet interested in the marathon.
Yeah, definitely, and this is what sport brings, and especially for those who have interest in other sports. Sheyi Olofinjona, we know him as a bandana tying one because of the way he dresses during his days with the Super Eagles. But then, good to know that at least it's also part and parcel of the opening ceremony. We have some other dignitaries as well who also were present out there to put up a colorful kick-off celebration in that particular one.
We've just been joined by the sports journalist based in Uyo Basi. Basi, nice to have you on Atlantic Television Network, weekend edition of Sports Extraordinary.
Thank you very much for having me, and a wonderful weekend to everyone there.
Okay, just before you joined, we have talked about the Lagos City Marathon that hits this weekend in the city of Lagos. Marathon is not a very popular sport here in Nigeria, but with $50,000 at stake, a lot of Nigerians are taking part in this one. Ugandans and other trying to compete against the Kenyans. What do you expect from these marathoners this weekend?
Well, first, I think it's a good thing for Nigeria as a country having an A-list competition like the Lagos Marathon that has been there for over 10 years. The consistency is very good. I think the other race you can talk about in Nigeria that is classified among the A-list races around the world that we have here is the Pepe Mountain Race. So I think for the marathon in Lagos, it's very commendable. The sponsors have done great work, and of course, the Athletic Federation have also done a great job. And for me, I came in when you're talking about the East Africans dominating. Well, it's been their thing. The Ethiopians, the Kenyans. This is their race. This is their sport. Long distance races. They are good for that. You can't dispute that. It's also good to see that some Nigerians are coming in to see how to compete against them. $50,000 is no small amount of money, and everyone wants to see how they can get that. I wish the Nigerians that would be part of it the very best, but we can only wish. They say if wishes were horses, but it's not. But at this point, we can only wish them the very best. But give it to those who are known for the long distance races, the Kenyans, the Ethiopians. I think they will come again like they've done in the past previous years. Might still dominate the scene when it comes to Lagos Marathon, but for the fact that it's taking place right here in the commercial city of Nigeria, I think it's quite commendable.
Well, in all of the editions we've seen so far of the Lagos City Marathon, no Nigerian has won. We just hope that the foreigners will, at least, the Nigerians will learn what the foreigners have been showing in the previous edition of the Lagos City Marathon. Let's get to one more story before we get to our main focus, and it has to do too with Athletics World Championship in Paris 2024. We remember there was a certain name, Eniola Bolaji, who battled for gold at this. Looking out for gold at the 2026 Para Badminton World Championship. This weekend, we in Bahrain, Mike, there will be another championship. Eniola, does he have a chance of getting a gold? He's never gotten gold before.
I think she has, because we've seen massive improvement from Eniola Bolaji, one of the finest, Paralympian that you will also talk about right here in the country. Talk about badminton. I think she's up there among the elites globally. Presently, she's been able to beat some of the big names. She beat a Brazilian ranked world number 18 and beat Uzbekistan players ranked 16, and the player also ranked within the world number 10. And this is how impressive Eniola Bolaji has been so far. And for me, I have no doubt, going by what I've seen of her game, that she has what it takes to compete against the best when it has to do with the global stage.
Talking about the best in the para badminton, Eniola, Mike, we understand is just about the first or second African to win a medal at the Para World Championship. That's no mean feat.
She's actually the first. She's actually the first, and
I think there's a second.
Yes, which is also a Nigerian as well, because it was a double win for Nigeria, and it's a massive record that two of them have created. But the reason why the name of Eniola Bolaji rings more bell compared to Nana is that she has been very consistent over the course of the last 3 years right now, both locally, regionally, continentally, and globally. So I think it is the reason why it looks as though she has actually outshined Nana, who also won the bronze medal alongside her. But I tell you, it is a record-breaking one for not just for Nigeria, but the continent of Africa.
Basi, I get to you on badminton. Badminton Federation of Nigeria, do you think they are up to scratch what we expect of them? Because we don't seem to be having a series of badminton championship local, I mean. Oftentimes we rely on the same Eniola, who is foreign based. And do you think the Athletics Federation should up their game, given that there could be more local talents that have not been discovered? We seem to be focusing on just Eniola and one or two other names, and that's it.
Yeah, I think she's the one who has brought laurels to us, and her name keeps ringing when you talk about para badminton. But just like you rightly said, I think it's about time we start to see how to raise another generation of badminton players. So the Athletic Federation of Nigeria, the Badminton Federation have a lot to do. Away from all of the attention given to football, in Nigeria we have we have a league for basketball, we have a league for volleyball, And we are hoping to also have a league for badminton, because it's when you have a league, a tournament, regular competitions, that's when you get to discover some of these. Eniola Olaji won't always be there. So I think the right time for us now to start searching for who to take over from her, who to even learn while she's still playing is better, because when she leaves the stage, it will raise concern if we will ever have another Eniola Olaji, someone as big as she is, that will get to represent her at the global stage. So she's doing well for herself, doing well for the country. And I think we, from this side now, the Athletic Federation of Nigeria, and of course, Badminton Federation, need to do more to see how to discover more talents in badminton.
Thank you very much, and I'll stay with you, Basi, and brings us to our main focus for this edition of Sports Extraordinary here on Atlantic Television Network. This weekend, the second edition of the Niger Delta Games is getting underway. It's barely 5 days from this weekend, the kickoff of the second Niger Delta Games. You're an Uyo-based sports journalist. The first edition did take place in Uyo. Can you give us some kind of memories of the first edition of the Niger Delta Games that is getting into the second edition this weekend?
Well, thank you. It was a wonderful, innovation by the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, and of course the organizers and management of that particular game. It came in at a time where talent was becoming difficult to find around the region. And so for them to move away from the regular stuff that is in their mandate, construction of roads and all of those interventionist programs, I think this is interventionist when it comes to sports sector. Making sure that they can go back to the grassroots and see how to develop, talent. And for this year, they say beyond talent, beyond oil. So just beyond the oil, we have talent everywhere in Niger Delta. So for the first edition, it was quite rewarding for Uyo. It was a huge honor for Akwa Ibom to be the first state to host it. Thank God for some of the facilities we've got in place. But away from those facilities, it was also rewarding in the sense that the sponsors came in to ensure that some of these facilities that weren't in good condition had a facelift. Like lots of all the basketball courts they use, they made sure that they had transformed them, the volleyball court, the handball court, the swimming pool that was used, so it was a win-win situation for Akwa Ibom hosting, and after hosting, they also had some of these, sporting facilities upgraded for use by the local athletes. So it was a wonderful period of time, like everything, the athletes coming in, getting to play, the economic situation of the state, booming, accommodation, feeding. So those are the benefits that came to the state. But in terms of talent, great talents we also have vested, both from Akwa Ibom and some other states that came. So on the whole, I think Uyo was rewarding being the very first edition, and we are looking forward to it growing every year. Now, Benin is the second edition, starting on the 20th. So we are hoping that it's going to be a better performance, more athletes will be discovered. Niger Delta has always been known as a sports hub when it comes to Nigeria. And I think with what the NDDC have brought back the Niger Delta Games, we will get back the position now to ensure that anytime we have contingent going to represent Nigeria, we'll always have representative from the Niger Delta. And I think that's the main purpose and essence of the Niger Delta Games.
Well, thank you very much, Basi. And talking about the main purpose of the Niger Delta Games, we understand they were looking at talent discovery, regional unity, and of course, Mike, producing of future Olympians. If you remember some big names, like he said, we've had some big names from in Niger Delta. Samuel Peters, if you remember him, among several names. Samuel Peters from Akwa Ibom State, right? And we of recent, we don't seem to be hearing, more names. Of course, you remember the Peter Kahuwa-Krichi and several names that have gone to the Olympics. We just, this is coming to the second edition, going to Benin now. Do we have a structure that can harness these talents? At least the first edition now, going to the second edition. Do we have a structure? I'm not privy to the sponsors, which I do not want to discuss here. But talent discovery, like I said, amongst maybe regional unity and producing of future world talents, especially Olympians, that's the word. Do you think these games can produce enough local talents, and beyond that, talents that can be future champions. That's why I'm very particular about structuring or conditioning of the athletes you discover from each of these tournaments or this championship for the future that may lead to the Olympics.
First off, the question, do we actually have, raw talent that can groom to become the next Olympian? The answer is absolutely yes. Talent are caught across all Niger Delta states, the 9 Niger Delta states, raw talent in the streets out there. All they need is just a platform for them to mount upon, more like a chessboard for them to seize the opportunity and showcase their talent to the world. We do have a raw talent. And now the problem is about a template and how to, get this athlete after discovering some of this raw talent. What is the template? What is the procedure of, passing them from one stage or nurturing them from one stage to another? And that is my biggest worry. It's not just enough that, years we conduct the regional sport festival tag, the Niger Delta Games. And at the end of it all, talent are seen, talent are discovered, but then no proper platform, no proper template where you can say, okay, this is the succession plan for this athlete. Let them pass from one cadre to the next cadre. Let them be that monitoring process needs to be there. And I think this is what the organizers, I don't know if they are thinking about that. I don't know the template. I don't know how they intend to do it. But then the key focus is not just, organizing this game, but the long-term future of those athletes that have been discovered. What is the process where we can be able to translate them from one point to another and to continue progressing? This is the only worry for me, and I think it is a very crucial stage at this point in time. This is the second edition, right? But then we must have a long-term vision on how to be able to translate some of these athletes that will be discovered, some of these raw talents that will be discovered at this very breeding stage down to the next level where they can be nurtured and properly groomed for future, actions.
Talent discovery, one of the aims of the Niger Delta Games has entered into this second edition. Basi, let's look at the facilities. You talked about it earlier. Some facilities in Akwa Ibom have been upgraded, when that competition took place last year. We expect same to happen in Edo State. In fact, a report reaching me has it that the 50-meter swimming pool has been upgraded to world-class standard at the Samuel Saibovo Stadium beyond other facilities around the stadium, the main venue for this competition. This is looking very good for hosts of these games, Basi. You think it is a major attraction for the other states too to look forward to hosting this competition?
Yeah, it is good. It's good, because I believe by the time we are done with the 9th edition of the Niger Delta Sport Festival or Niger Delta Games, it will have gone around all the 9 Niger Delta states. And what it means is that each of these states will have a facelift in their sporting facilities. One of the biggest problems we have in Nigeria has always been the lack of maintenance culture in our facilities. And then because of this, some of these athletes are even frustrated in the sense that they do not have quality facilities to train with. And so how do you train in an inferior or a non-standard facility, and then you hope to go to a standard facility where the main competition takes place, and then you hope to win? So I think it has been one of the biggest problems that we have in Nigeria. And so with these facilities given to this sporting facility, there is not enough again for the NDC to come and upgrade these facilities. The state ministry of sports or the state government must be intentional about making sure that after the games are over, because this is what we proposed to the Akwa Ibom State Ministry of Sports. At the end of that Niger Delta Sport Festival, there was a facility committee set up by the Ministry of Sports to ensure that the facilities given to these facilities were not again misused, were not again destroyed, that it was maintained for athletes to use it for training. And I think for the last 1 year, those facilities have remained intact. In fact, it really helped athletes from Akwa Ibom in preparing for Edo. And so I also want to wish that Edo government and Ministry of Sport will do the same, so that immediately after the festival is over, they set up a committee that will make sure that these facilities are maintained in good condition, and not after the games are over, 2 months after, you go back to the swimming pool at the San Luis Stadium, and you're already seeing a reptile and aquatic Olympic taking place with toads and frogs taking over the whole place. So I hope that they will set up a committee that will take care of it, and that should also be the case in all Niger Delta states, so that we don't have a situation where we keep struggling when it comes to facility. Look at Nigeria, a whole country will only have one stadium certified to be played, for football matches to be capped and FIFA football match to be played, and it's very wrong out of how many stadiums that we have in Nigeria. So maintenance has always been our problem, and I hope that each of these states will take advantage of this upgrading of facilities and maintain them even after the games are over.
Many thanks, Basi, for that contribution. And I think the state government will have to see a way of maintaining facilities that has been provided by sponsors of the Niger Delta game. And talking about the Niger Delta game that is just barely 5 days away this weekend, Mike, the torch, you are told, would have left to you a few days ago. This weekend, the torch arrived Port Harcourt, one of the Niger Delta State, River State, en route Edo State. How colorful was it this weekend in Port Harcourt with the torch, the Niger Delta torch, games torch, being hosted in Port Harcourt?
I think the euphoria is not that I would say that it made a big headline, maybe because of the publicity stunt. It wasn't that good enough per se, but then again I think it was an exciting one for a few of the persons that went out there to observe the torch as it got to the government house here. The Commissioner for Sport, I don't know whether he still is talking about Barrister Christopher Green alongside other persons as well, came out in mass, and some other top political figures and sport stakeholders were also there, and few individuals of course saw the torch out there. But then I think in all it was such an exciting one.
Talking about the torch of the second Niger Delta Games arriving Port Harcourt, from Uyo en route to Edo State, Benin City, Edo State capital. Basi, something interesting happened when that torch arrived Port Harcourt, and I don't know. Yes, Mike just talked about the sports commissioner. I think the sports commissioner, top government ministry of sports officials did receive the torch. But something that I observed during the torch arrival in Port Harcourt, the torch was not lit. It looks like the torch had gone faulty, and so yes, there was torch, but there was no light, coming from the torch. What does that mean to you, Basi?
Well, it's strange, because what makes the torch is the light. So when the torch came without light, it means that it was only the stand that came to Port Harcourt and not the game torch. But I also want to think that probably one or two malfunctioning are coming. It's not like
we should have Basi on the short while. I think this has to do with connectivity. As soon as we have Basi back, we'll have to get through with him on the second edition of the second games of the Niger Delta Games coming up in Edo State in just about 5 days. Is Basi back? Basi, are you there? We'll have Basi back. But Mike, that was an observation. Yes, yesterday during the arrival of the torch here in Port Harcourt. What do you make of it? What a weekend of what a torch arriving without lights.
I think it's quite funny, just like Basi stated out there, because the whole excitement and the euphoria and the reality of the torch is that it must be lit. When such torch is not lit, it means that it's not complete. The ceremony is not, complete. It's just a mere formalities for me. And I don't know, something might have gone wrong. Why?
Yes, they understand they had some malfunctioning, but then I think they should have checked and cross-checked all of this before arrival in Port Harcourt.
Definitely, and this is, maybe lapses on their own part as well, because before it could, leave the city of Uyo to arrive, Port Harcourt, I think they should have been able to do a proper background check on some of those things and see that everything were, functioning accurately before they came down here.
all these 9 Niger Delta states will definitely have a feel of this touch, or the other 8 Niger Delta states will have a feel before the host state for 2026, which is Benin City, Edo State, hosting for the touch itself. Well, do we have Basi back online? And Basi?
Yeah.
Okay, yes,
Yes.
You were giving us an impression about a touch without flames.
Yeah, the touch without flames. I think it has to be a mechanical fault. I was trying to say that moving the touch from the very first state, from Calabar, across River State capital to Akwa Ibom, and then to Abia State, Bayelsa, and then River State, it's possible that along the line, there's a mechanical fault, because the touch, it doesn't actually require you lighting it with maybe a tractor with matches or something. It's done mechanically, and so I want to believe why we didn't see the lights there in Port Harcourt was a mechanical fault. But I was trying to say that even though the light didn't come up in Port Harcourt, it doesn't mean that the game will not go on, or there's something wrong with the Niger Delta games. It's just a fault. It could happen anywhere and at any time. And so for me, it doesn't really have any impact on the games. The games will go as planned.
Okay, thank you very much. And Mike, I understand the Team Rivers contingent are expected to be in camp in the next 24 hours en route to arrival in Edo State on the 19th, a day just before the games. How will you rate preparations, especially for one of the contingent, Team Rivers?
I think it's been fair for me. Though last time preparation wasn't top notch, the reason why they couldn't finish among the podium, they didn't finish first, second, third, or even fourth. But this time around, I think some lessons were learned from the last, scrappy preparation for the first edition, which took place in New York. This time around, there was a better preparation, and I hope that the athletes are in top gear, ready to go.
Okay, let's hope the athletes are in top gear. And Team Akwa Ibom, do you have any latest on their preparations, Basi?
Well, they were done with the trials. They're done with the trials, and over 200 athletes and officials have already been listed to be part of the games. And what they are waiting for now, they're all in camp. All they're waiting for now is to get themselves ready and then go represent. So the last time we hosted, unfortunately, we were able to even, have a podium finish. And I want to hope that with the level of preparation put in place now, and that Akwa Ibom will give a good account of themselves. Remember, a few weeks ago, I think about 2-3 weeks ago, there was an unveiling of sport equipment worth over 200 million naira that was graciously approved by the state government. We've not had this for a very long time. I want to believe that the athletes now with quality equipment will give a good account of themselves when they go to Edo. So we are very optimistic that they will better their outing at the next Niger Delta Games.
Well, still with you, Basi, talking about 200 million approved from the government of Akwa Ibom State. For the athletes going to this competition, there are 3,000 athletes that will be part of the second edition of the Niger Delta Games. What is the attraction for these athletes?
Well, I think for me it's the joy of getting to represent your state. I monitor some of the trials here in Akwa Ibom, and I noticed there were some who didn't meet the qualification mark, and I saw them cry. They cried, and they had to be consoled. And so for me, I feel everybody needs a platform to project his or her talent, and the Niger Delta Games is a veritable platform for anybody to project his or herself into the national scene. And so the attraction there is that a lot of athletes want to be seen. They want to represent the country. They also want to fly the flag of the state. For instance, the last Niger Delta Games for my state, the last Niger Delta Games that we were part of, and even the last national youth games, the state government actually rewarded all the athletes who won medal. And so for every athlete who won medal, a gold medal, every athlete who won a gold medal went back with 500,000, and for silver 250,000. And so their Christmas was a joyous one. Some people who won more than a medal, maybe 2 gold medals, you know how much that amounted to. So it's really something motivating and attracting for them to give a good account of themselves and then push themselves to get to represent the states or their various states.
Well, thank you very much. And I think there's a lot more, for these athletes to look forward to if they participate in the game. Like you mentioned there, apart from the cash prizes that will be given by individual states, I expect that the sponsors of the competition as well will be able to give them something. And of course, beyond that, Mike, empowerment is quite big. If you are a selected athlete, you have been empowered, to continue in your chosen profession.
Definitely, which is very key. We have a whole lot of people with great talent, but then they lack the funding, they lack the sponsorship that they needed to explore their talent to a place where at least they can be earning a living and make stardom for themselves. Also, I think it's a very good one because this is a job opportunity for the teaming youth of the Niger Delta region, because now you can get to do the things that you love doing, especially in the world of sports. And you and I know that sports globally is the highest employer of labor. Just imagine the number of teaming youth that this is going to take off the street and give them a future and give them a direction. So for me, I think it's a win-win situation all through.
7 days of sporting action across the Niger Delta, February 20th to the 27th, 2026. And Bassi, 17 sports will be on showcase. Sports disciplines, will be on showcase in this one. It looks like there has been an increase from what we saw last at the first edition that took place in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. Bassi, are you there?
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, I was saying that we have 17 sports disciplines that will be on showcase at this second edition of the Nationals of the Niger Delta Games. An additional, do I say an increase on what we saw at the first edition that took place in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State?
Yes, an increase there because I think the last time we had about 14 sports that was competed for in Uyo, but now we have 17 sports. New introductions coming in depending on what the stakeholders have agreed. There was a meeting of sports commissioners in the 9 Niger Delta states, and of course that's what the main organizing committee have agreed. But it's not just like every other sport. It's not compulsory that every state enter into all sports. For instance, Akwa Ibom will not be doing 17, will be doing 16 out of the 17, and other states will also pick the sports they will also enter into. But I think it's good. Expose these young boys and young girls who are very much ready to showcase their talent. Expose them as much as possible in all the disciplines that you can. I think that's the essence of the sport festival, because at the end of the day, we say let's focus on football. You might end up not having a talent discovered at that edition from football, but you might have a talent discovered from taekwondo, from any other sport. So I think it's good that we are broadening this and ensuring that every sport is given an inclusion, at least the ones that we can manage at the moment. It's quite commendable that we have 17 sport disciplines in the second Niger Delta Games in Edo.
Well, that will be it for our main issue for this course, which has to do with the second Niger Delta Games. So we'd like to take a break here now. When we return for a break, we'll look at the other aspect of our sports extraordinary this weekend. Of course, it has to come mainly from football. We'll look at the Premier League here in Nigeria. Beyond that, look at some of the top leagues across Europe. Focus, of course, will be on the Premier League in England, where it's looking very interesting for the season in football. So let's take a break now. We'll get back shortly. Welcome back. A Sports Extraordinary Weekend edition here on Atlantic Television Network. Don't forget, we told you that this weekend we are seeing the marathoners from across Africa and Nigeria take part in the Lagos City Marathon event. Beyond that, we're looking at having Niola, another para-badminton player from Nigeria, showcase her talent at Bahrain this weekend as well. And of course, the second Niger Delta Games, our main focus is heating up in just about 5 days in the city of Benin, Edo State capital. Now, let's look at the other half of the program. And Mike is still here. And of course, Basi is here as well. Basi, the Premier League here in Nigeria is getting more and more interesting, but it looks like the same old kettle. Beyond Rivers United, leading in, or that's in top position on the league table. Are you surprised that CAF Champions League entrant for 2025-2026 football season, Remo Stars, is struggling to avoid relegation?
Well, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that they are struggling. But it should be surprising. You know why? Because this is a side that won the league last time, or this is a side that went to represent Nigeria in the CAF Champions League. Unfortunately, as we speak, they are struggling on 19th position in the NPL. And it's quite sad. It's quite sad that it's a situation. But again, you have to look at the quality of players that left that side after they won the league. Some of the players they lost, and they couldn't get quality players in the team to ensure that they could even compete to stay in the league, not to defend the title they won, but just to stay in the league. So it's a serious problem, and I think it's not just for them. A lot of other clubs are also struggling. It's a season where some of the big names we used to think, or big names in the NPFL, are now struggling. Eimba, we're surprised where they are. Kano Pillars, we're surprised where they are. But that's the story of the NPFL this current season.
Well, Mike, he's talking about big names struggling to avoid relegation this season. He mentioned Eimba, yes, Kano Pillars, big names. These are teams that represent Nigeria in continental football. Kwara United, they were once, I think, in the CAF Confederations Cup. They are struggling. Let's not talk about Kun Khalifat, which is a new team in the competition. And but Remo Stars, like he alluded, is very shocking that they are. But let's avoid teams that are going on relegation now. Let's look at the top teams. Right now, this weekend, we're having Ikorodu City with 41 points atop the league. And they are joint leaders with Rivers United with 41 points as well, with few games to play. Yet, the other teams are finding it difficult to completely displace Rivers United from the top of the lead of the season. Of the top of the table with just about few games to go.
I think it's looking likely that Rivers United might just, win the league. Reason is very simple. Now that they have been booted out of the CAF Champions League, I think they will be focusing all their energy, challenging into the league to see how they can win the league. Don't forget teams like Ikorodu City, who are just focusing on the Nigerian Premier Football League. You talk about Nasarawa United as well, who also are just focusing on the Nigerian Premier Football League, who are up there as well. Bendel Insurance, these are teams that mainly focus on the league. But we talk about Rivers United in the continent, maybe you combine the continent and also play in the league. Abia Warriors, you can also give them some slack because they went to the continent as well. Maybe playing, continental game and also combining it with the league game as well, maybe tiresome. But then Rivers United still find a way to, sit, at the top there in the Nigerian Premier Football League. Second position, and they have 4 games in hand as we speak. Though game in hand is not a point in the bag, but then with what we've seen of Rivers United, especially now that they've been knocked out of the CAF Champions League, I think they might just focus all their energy in the league right now and see how to, win it.
If you're a follower of the league here in Nigeria, it is weekend is week 25. Matches have been played so far. We'll be going to match number 26. But with 25 matches played, Ikorodu City have 41 points and sit on top temporarily, waiting for Rivers United, who has played only 21 matches, have 4 outstanding, but the same number of points, 41 points. If they were going to go to the continent, it will be Rivers United and Ikorodu City in the CAF Champions League position, while in Confederations Cup, it will be Nasarawa and Enugu Rangers in the 3rd and 4th place position. But if you are looking at the below ladder in the league, it's shocking. Like we said, Kano Pillars is there. We have, apart from Kano Pillars, there is
Kwara United,
there is Kun Khalifat, and then there is Remo Stars that could be relegated at the end of the season. Your impression, Basi, about the season so far with 25 matches played, in terms of organization, has it been better? We don't seem to be hearing more about officiating crisis this season. But there has been a lot of bans, fines from the ruling body of the Premier League. Basi, can you hear me? We seem to have lost Basi there. Basi, are you there?
Yes, I'm there. I can hear you.
Okay, I was saying that your impression about the season so far, beyond the teams that are at their level, let's look at the reactions of bans from the league body. Some of the club side have been banned, points deducted. There has been crowd trouble, that has led to this. Are you satisfied with the way the league is being organized and run?
No, I'm not satisfied. I think we are still some distance away from, professionalism and how we desire our league to be, because you look at the NPFL this season, there's been a lot of cracks this season. At first, there was a time, before the commencement of the second stanza, referees said they were not coming to officiate matches because their indemnities and money were not being paid, they were being owed the money. And we've seen lots of fines also coming in, crowd violence, stadium issues. The last being the Wiki Tourist case, where even they had to, their coach had to leave, citing insecurity. That he can't continue as the coach of Wiki Tourist. So I think there's been a lot of issues. We are still yet to, stop the stadium violence. We are yet to stop attacks on officials. We are yet to stop issues of fines like we are seeing right now. A Kun Khalifa threatened to leave till this season. So there's been a lot of things, and we keep having these things every season, and we're hoping there will be an improvement. But unfortunately, we come back to the new season and we are finding ourselves where we left off last season, or even worse off. And so for me, I think there's still a lot to be done in the Nigeria professional football. We haven't gotten there yet. We tend to be officiating. There've been lots of calls. There've been lots of accusations of referees favoring the home teams and all of those. So aside the placement of the teams currently on the table now, I am not satisfied with the way the league has been managed. No thanks to the LNC. I think they've not done well for our league. There's still a lot to be done. We need to improve professionalism in the league. They need to keep our players back in the league. All our players are running out. Quality players are reducing in the league. So there's a whole lot of things to be done. Look at Rivers United. They went for the CAF Champions League. Look at where they are. Without a win, they've got their last game today or this weekend. Who knows if they will get a win and they will be knocked out. So this is the quality of the league we have, and it's not good enough. And so I hope that they will learn from this and also learn to improve from where we are at the moment.
Well, the quality of the league is not good enough, and there is a lot to be desired from the league body here in Nigeria. Quickly, I'll just take 1 minute from Mike because I'm running out of time already. There is 1 minute from you. There is the issue of the FA Cup in England, Hull City, pummeled by Chelsea 4-0. 1 minute about your impression of that, and I will take 1 more minute from Basi as well about what happened in Spain in the Copa del Rey, where it was 4-0 in favor of Atletico Madrid over almighty FC Barcelona. 4 goals scored in the first half. So, Basi, you prepare on that, and quickly, Mike, your impression, 1 minute from what happened in England, the FA Cup.
I think for me it was expected that Chelsea should respond in a very, in that very manner, especially when they were pegged back by Leeds United when they went 2-goal ups in the English Premier League, but threw away that 2-goal lead, and they eventually drew that game. Yesterday was a redemption time for the coach, talking about Liam Rosenio. And you could also recall that Rosenio was the former coach of this same side, just 2 years ago before he was sacked. So more like a payback to him, and that was a sweet victory for him.
What's your impression about the Copa del Rey that entered into its semi-final or the quarter-final first leg with Atletico Madrid playing at home, beating FC Barcelona by 4 goals, all 4 goals coming in the first 45 minutes?
No, I think it was good, especially for Starman, Ademola Lookman, who has hit the ground running since joining, Atletico Madrid for whatever it is. As Nigerians, we're excited to see that he didn't just score, he also made an assist in that game. A lot of people would have expected it to go the other way, maybe Barcelona, giving a better outing for themselves. But they also came into that game with some injury worries. But should that be an excuse? I don't think it should be an excuse. It's good for me personally that Atletico Madrid won. And anything for Ademola Lookman, I support it 100%.
Talking about Ademola Lookman brings us to our sports extraordinaire for this weekend. Scoring his first goal, play in his first game for Atletico Madrid, could be my sports extraordinaire for this weekend. But across, Mike, we've seen the first African players to win medal at the Para World Championship in Yola, and this is good enough to be sports extraordinary as well?
Yes, for me, I think good enough compared to what Lukman Ademola did over the week.
Well, Basi, thank you very much for being part of the show. But which particular athlete or maybe player impressed you most this weekend? Will it be the Eniola from para badminton or Ademola Lookman, who scored on his debut game for Atletico Madrid?
Well, between the both of them, I think I'll go for Eniola. Fantastic lady, she has done great, and that's my athlete for the week. And I also remember that there was a certain Enekwechi who did well at the indoor, short put event that took place at the Great over the week. Nigerian athletes were just fantastic this year, and I hope this will all help them in the upcoming Commonwealth Games that we are preparing for.
Congratulations to Enekwechi, of course, in Yola for doing Nigeria proud at various championships across the world, and of course, Ademola Lookman for scoring and assisting in his debut game out there in Spain. Many thanks, guys, for being part of the show this weekend. The next weekend promises to be yet another exciting one. Until then, remember, peace and unity are clearly pathways to progress.